Hi everyone, welcome to the Living in Faith Everyday podcast, the Life podcast, and we've reached episode 115 of our times together. It's so good that you plan to be with us today. And we've reached part 22 in season 3, which is our series of working together through the book of Ephesians. We're nearly at the end now, and we're in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 5 to 9, and the thought with this week's message is, what can this teach us about dealing with authority? Now, some time ago, there were discussions in the UK, many years ago, about changing the working week in the UK, which at that time was 40 hours, and there was talk of bringing it down to 35. With that in the background, a guy who I worked alongside with at that time joked. He said, "I doubt I would agree to such a dramatic increase in my workload. I'll stick," he said, "to my tried and trusted method of only working when the boss is looking." So the question that raises, and I'd like to ask, is what determines our attitudes and our actions at work? Do you work better when the boss is watching? And what motivates you to work well when the boss is not watching? I myself have been an employee, I've been a boss, and I've been the one who's being bossed. If I can put it like this, I've had people under my authority in the office and the workplace, and I've had people as a team leader, as a branch manager, and even as a national secretary of a large association. Based on my experience, it seems to me that most people, most of the time, work for financial reasons, or at least that's what they think they do. But it is not just the desire for money that determines what we do. Other determining factors, it seems to me, are how much we're valued by our employers, by our bosses, and by our relationships with our fellow workers. The question I suppose I'm asking is, are any of these motivations wrong? And I'm going to say no, not necessarily. There's not necessarily anything wrong in working for money, or even in accepting a higher paid job if it comes along. All of these motivations are perfectly legitimate in the right time and in the right place. But I want to ask today, what should our spiritual motivation be? As believers in Jesus Christ, is there a spiritual reason that we should work, no matter what we're doing? Or for that matter, is there a spiritual way we should approach things if we've been given authority over other people who are called to work under us? And that's the question I'd like us to address together today. Now, as you know, we've been working through the book of Ephesians, verse by verse, paragraph by paragraph, chapter by chapter, and we've reached a point where we come in this book of Ephesians to a passage that exactly addresses these issues. So let's look at them together as we read Ephesians chapter 6, verses 5 to 9.